So the example with minimalist would be sunscreen dispensers. So we place the sunscreen dispensers, large 6 feet tall sunscreen dispensers, which are you can see from anywhere, and give free sunscreen to 35,000 people who attended the Dua Lipa concert. So that is how, we are able to eliminate those small tubes of sunscreen, because people buy the tube because when they need it, and with quick commerce coming in, consumerism is at its peak. People are not thinking twice before a purchase. They'll buy a small tube, they'll use some, and they'll throw the rest away. So there's a lot of wastage that goes into all of this. Whereas the sunscreen dispensers come in at a point where it's hot, you need sunscreen, you use it without any packaging, you put it on it, it's a value add for the event attendees. It's a great fairness tool for the brands coming in. So that's kind of like a win-win initiative that we did.
Yeah, welcome back for another episode of the Voice of Generation Climate, TVOGC. Today we have with us Purav Desai, who's the co-founder of GreenLit Events and used to be the founder of Refillable. What a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me, and hi Roma as well. Thank you for bringing me on as a guest. It's actually great to be here. We've been following Climes' journey since a while now, and yeah, looking forward to the discussion.
Yes, we also have with us Roma today, who's everyone knows, famous Roma, our marketing lead and producer of TVOGC. Roma, good to have you on this today too.
Yeah, it's great to be on camera for the first time. Yeah, looking forward to this conversation because we love what GreenLit is doing. So yeah, looking forward to learning and getting some insights from what they are doing with big brands like Minimalist and all. So yeah.
Good. So Purav, why have you chosen events as the lever for climate or sustainability intervention? Your stated goal is sustainable products and services at live events and concerts. And you've kind of always chosen the world of events to be the big intervention point to reach mass climate action, right? Why is that? What's the story behind it? What's the genesis and then the metamorphosis also you've gone through?
Wow. Okay, those are some big words, but actually we stumbled into events. This was not the plan from the start. The plan was always as college kids, my co-founders and us, we started off in 2018. So it's been a long while since we've been in this space. And in college as well, we were part of this road track club of HR college, where we did a lot of social development activities. And our inclination was always towards creating some impact. And when we got together in 2018, our inclination was impact first, and then build out a substantial business because, of course, we want to have a good lifestyle. So that was the thought process about how we started off. And in 2018, one pivotal thing happened was Maharashtra banned single-use plastic. And as naive college pass-outs, we were like, okay, this is going to become a big opportunity, which of course it will, but without having a plastics background, without having any kind of engineering background, we have dived into this plastic circular economy space head first. And we started working with restaurants. That's how we started off, because there was a gap in the market. We started working with brands like Burger King, Starbucks, and 100 plus other restaurant chains nationally. And then we saw that this product applicability, which is a reusable cup which we were delivering for milkshakes and cold beverages, had the same applicability at events as well. That's how we started off, providing reusable cups. And then we were just providing the cups doesn't make sense. We also need to add a service of collection, sterilization, bringing it back into the ecosystem, effectively creating a zero waste event. And that's where we kind of got into zero waste events. Slowly, steadily, we started seeing the kind of waste that is being generated at events. So to give you context, a 50,000 person festival was generating approximately, using 4 bottles of 250 ml each. And you calculate that it's approximately 2 lakh pieces of plastic bottles just on a single day of the event. So you're like, okay, we've replaced paper cups at events, plastic cups at events. Now we can also replace plastic bottles at events. And so doing that, we started setting up automated water refill stations all across the event. And then going one step further, of course, COVID and everything, a lot of things have gone out in the middle. We've tried multiple stuff. And then in 2020, end 24, mid 24 is when we started naming it, termed it GreenLit, and became like a full service decarbonization platform for the events and entertainment industry. Like that's the whole story, but yeah,
That's the
just
whole story.
condense it
Yeah.
down as quick as
Yeah, and
possible.
I think oftentimes that's what happens. You start with one thesis of how things will play out, and then in exploring it, it's like peeling an onion, right? New layers are uncovered, and you realize, okay, maybe I'm going a little bit wrong. Market it's not ready yet, and then you're finding the truer version of what could work till you arrive at a model like this, right? Which is
Yeah,
market's actually more ready for today,
for sure, for sure.
right? So, what are the behavior changes that have happened along the way? Did you walk into a market where behavior already was more ready and welcoming to, not use plastic, to recycle, to reuse the same glass? Or did you have to do behavior change from scratch? Because I'm actually thinking back to the 90s when I grew up. You could go and deposit a Coke bottle back and get the next bottle slightly cheaper, right? Like that was a habit created very early on.
Yeah.
Did that make your business? Did it give it more tailwinds, or did you have to re-educate and restart behavior change?
Right. So we had to re-educate, but I wouldn't say it was complete behavior change because we all know how tough changing consumer behavior is. It's adapting to the consumer behavior and pushing your agenda, for example. So that's how we kind of did it. So we were actually one of the first ones to build out this system in India, where the paper cups were replaced with reusable cups. There was a deposit on the cup. There was a deposit return system for the cups at events. So our thesis was built around that if it's going to be inconvenient for the consumers, if it's going to be very boring, that save the earth kind of stuff, this will not work. So we've always tried to make it fun, tried to make it cool. A thing that worked in our favor was that the cups also look pretty cool. So I just have a couple of samples here which I can show you guys. So these look cool. So that all of course works in our favor. People want to interact with these products. They want to return it back because there's an incentive attached to it. So we've gone through our entire range, gamut of solutions of having a deposit, not having a deposit, doing rental, giving it for people to take it away, incentivizing people to reuse the cups at events. So we've gone through that entire thing and then come to like a service and a product and a system which works at scale. So yeah, so I wouldn't say that we've changed consumers' behaviors, we've adapted to it.
So the model that now works is refillable stations, number one. Two is the cups themselves, refillable cups, right? And what materials are they made of?
Sure. So I think I'll take one step back to give you a complete overview. Now, what we are building at GreenLit essentially is like a full stack decarbonization platform. And when I say that, what that means is first we look at the entire carbon emissions of an event. And then we are looking at solutions to plug those carbon emissions. And then we are able to give them a complete impact report as per how much was saved, what kind of activities were done. So we're looking at this from a complete end-to-end perspective. This was, of course, done because we had our foot into the door of these events through our cups and our water solutions. But when we do this, we come to know, these amount of carbon emissions have come through transportation. This much has come through packaging. This much has come through logistics and power, etc. So we come to know exactly, and then we have a solution for each of these segments where we are able to reduce the amount of carbon emissions that are going down. Of course, our hero products is in the packaging segment because that's where our core background comes from. And what we are able to do there is that replace the single-use plastic cups, of course, and replace the single-use paper cups, which is, of course, very, very tricky because it has a plastic lining inside of it. The costs itself are very cheap, so you're fighting and competing against a product which is very cheaply found. So then we had a system of cool looking cups which you can pay a deposit for. You get incentivized for every refill of alcoholic beverages as well as non-alcoholic beverages. Apart from that, you can deposit it, get half your deposit back, for example. Then on the purchase of this cup, we've positioned, and that's again something that was not prevalent before, we brought it to the market was water refill for free. So earlier you always used to have these plastic bottles which are charged tremendously, like selling a 10 rupee bottle for 500 bucks, and like it's just been a lot of looting in that segment. The kind of model that we came around with was that you don't have to pay for the water. The water is completely free, but you have to pay for a reusable cup, which you can reuse completely throughout the event. So you're getting incentives for alcohol, you're getting incentives for getting free water, and that's the way we got into the entire system of making the complete event zero waste. And slowly we added newer products, we've added newer services, which of course we'll talk further on.
Yeah, that's quite interesting actually, when you said the entire decarbonization. But what I'd like to understand is like, is there any type of an event that where you get more pull from? For example, is it just music festivals, or are there different kinds of events that where you don't have to educate the organizer? And on top of that, like one is this question. Second is who actually pays for this entire, apart from the consumer paying for reusable cup? Like, yeah, I'd really love to understand that.
Sure. So, yeah, so for us, our kind of niche became live events industry and music concerts, but again of a bigger size, because they have, say for example, Lollapalooza, which is one of our clients. They have global organizers. They have Live Nation coming and backing them. So this has been seen globally, but not from an Indian context. So they have a readiness towards implementing these solutions as well. So it definitely helps when you have someone who's seen this from a global context work out, and then they see that, okay, this makes sense, this has happened globally, why can't it happen in India as well? Apart from that, of course, Coldplay gave us a big push because their entire agenda of the entire tour is sustainability. So you don't need to educate them. They had a complete sustainability rider about the kind of initiatives that need to be taken, and we were lucky enough to be the ones who had already who've been implementing this in India since the last 5 years. So we knew how to go about these systems which were there. So that segment is something which is very open. The bigger concerts and global concerts coming in, with more global artists coming in into India, we just feel that the space will increase. Apart from that, what we see is which we are not able to crack yet, but like corporate events where they have these certain goals of sustainability as well. That's where we see another implementation being. So the market's pretty huge, but currently our niche is towards live events.
Did you guys do DGTL as well?
Yes,
In
we're
Delhi,
part of
because
DGTL.
the last time I
Yes.
went for that, it was extremely sustainable and circular in every way. And that
Yes.
was that's part of their branding too now.
Right.
You're right. I think overseas festivals are doing a great job. Like Wonderfruit,
Exactly.
fully sustainable in as many ways as possible, right? And
Right.
that cup is actually like people aspire to keep that cup. They
Exactly.
may lose everything
Exactly.
else,
Yeah.
their clothes and their whatever else, but like
Yeah.
the cup
Yeah.
is there right till the end,
No,
right?
100%.
It's
100%. I'll tell you like
amazing.
the story as well. So we've had one person, put in our comments like of every post that I want these reusable cups. He has DM'd us on Instagram. He's reached out to me on LinkedIn. He's then sent me a mail as well personally. So the only thing is that he wants to collect all the different editions of the cups that we've made and use it and create like a collector's cabinet around the cups. So yeah, so as you mentioned, people kind of want that also to happen for them.
Like a
Like,
collector's category you're creating, basically, and a stalker behavior also.
Yeah, maybe
yeah,
50 years down it becomes like a luxury item.
that's
Yeah.
really cool. It is like the Pokemon experience. Gotta collect them all,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You're gamifying that, and that is great. Like if you put a challenge around it, that's educational too. What a fantastic way of driving more behavior change, right? Like driving
True.
even more awareness about sustainability initiatives. Because actually, what you've done is you've created a vehicle to deliver many messages
Right.
in a way that's palatable to people in a
Right.
fun environment,
This goes
right?
back to your first point, right? Like the way you had asked that why events, and
Yeah.
we kind of the events kind of became a medium to push the sustainability agenda in a fun way, in a cool way, without seeming preachy, without
Yeah.
coming into people's eyes, and people's motivations is to do it because it can help them talk about it. It can help them be perceived as cool. We don't know what the core motivations of a consumer to do it behind it is, but we know that these kind of factors are fully into play at these concerts. So completely agree to that.
Yeah. And that's the kind of person we call Generation Climate, Gen C. That's why this thing is called the voice of Gen C. Anybody who
Nice.
cares to take a climate conscious choice, right? Even however small, and then typically it almost always dominoes.
Right.
They start with something small and then it dominoes. Either they care to do more within the company they work for, or
For
bigger,
sure.
or back in their own household, right? Like they start becoming more sustainable.
Oh,
Wherever they go, they
100%.
kind of like
100%. Yeah.
adopt more energy, carbon, waste, water conscious choices. So, are there any domino effects you have been able to trace because of the intervention you've done at events?
Sure. So I can give an example of one of the we've experienced a few customers where like someone who's come to an event in 2021 and has purchased a cup, they've gone and used this cup at their home where they've posted something on Instagram. They've used it at restaurants while they are filling or taking any takeaway beverages. They've taken the cup back to an event in 2022, to an event in 2023, to an event in 2024. So these are not numbers. These are stories that you've seen in front of your eyes. So you can see the kind of impact that is being made, and just like we've not given any incentive or we've not done anything to further that. It's just been very organic and people doing it by themselves, and which is what we want. But yeah, that's one of the examples I would say.
I've often thought about, how cool it would be if we would have a real life Black Mirror episode play out, mass scale, where like each of these nudges or each of these actions you take earns you points. And there's like a point system blinking over our heads, just going like reuse your cup, ding ding, one more point.
That's
And then like, that becomes your currency through life.
yeah.
More like a green mirror, I would say. Like let's not like, because Black Mirror is supposed to more towards like dystopian. Let's do utopian sort of a way. So green mirror.
Perfect.
Yeah, but no, but seriously, I think there is it sounds like far-fetched today, but all of these nudges should be stacked up, measured, rewarded. And I
100%.
think like if we become a society that actually rewards these kind of behaviors, right? Then there's a
Right.
Pavlovian circle and a circuit created. Do good for planet, be rewarded. Do good for planet, be rewarded.
100%, 100%. And that is something that we are also thinking about how can we integrate that into events. We've thought about that somewhere, we're working on something, hopefully, that comes out.
Okay, amazing. Looking forward to that. So events is a nice like area to design these interventions and then spur behavior change. Beyond this, where else? Like what kind of partners have you found in this journey to drive to mainstream sustainability? What kind of partners? Anyone that comes to mind?
Yeah. So what I'll do is before we go into maybe what next, I feel like I'll double click on this space, like why this space, for example, also.
Yeah.
Is that in 2024, as I was mentioning earlier as well, the events industry has almost doubled in India. So there's been an influx in the number of events that's happening, in the kind of events that's happening. So if you saw the Book My Show report, there were approximately 38,617 live events that happened in 2024, which are organized. We are not even counting the unorganized ones and everything. These are just the organized industry, and this is doubling as we speak. So, but every event is leaving behind a carbon footprint. So an average event is emitting at least 500 tons of carbon emissions. An average event attendee is emitting anywhere between 25 kgs of CO2 emissions to 40 kgs CO2 emissions. So although the industry is fun, we enjoy it, but it's leaving behind a big environmental footprint. So maybe we can solve this in a fun way, with a lot more solutions. And because you mentioned partners, we know that we are not going to be able to solve this alone. There's absolutely no possibility. So that's why we've taken a very, very partnership driven approach. where we are working on every single thing with someone or the other. Right from, say, for example, at events, we're working with one of our, of course, major partners are Book My Show, District. These are, of course, the large event organizers. We're working with smaller event organizers as well, like Tata. Of course, another big one would be a Tata Mumbai Marathon. Then we're working with mid-scale events and smaller scale events from there. Then we're also on the other side. You're working with a lot of companies which are also doing good. Like, say, for example, Hasiru Dala Innovations. Again, they have been our partners since 5 years now, and they've been with us throughout the journey, through our multiple pivots as well. So, they are also ensuring that women waste pickers are getting a good, decent income size out of this. So it's a good employment generation. Apart from that, they're creating complete reports and traceability of the waste that is being generated to its life cycle end as well. So they are one of our partners. Apart from that, what we've understood is that the motivations for event organizers is very different than our motivations. For them, the motivations is to get more consumers to attend their events, so they need to market their event. They need to get more sponsors to come in, so they need to increase revenue for the event. So we've understood the core motivations for these event organizers and are forming our solutions also around that. So basically, to give you an example, I think initially in the start as well, we've partnered with brands like Minimalist, Lakme, Hyphen, Pilgrim, Leverage Edu. So we're working with all of these brands and building assets on the ground which can market these brands, which can give some value to the attendees, as well as the event organizers are also happy with it. So the example with Minimalist would be sunscreen dispensers. So we place the sunscreen dispensers, large 6 feet tall sunscreen dispensers, which are you can see from anywhere, and give free sunscreen to 35,000 people who attended the Dua Lipa concert. So that is how we are able to eliminate those small tubes of sunscreen, because people buy the tube because when they need it, and with quick commerce coming in, consumerism is at its peak. People are not thinking twice before a purchase. They'll buy a small tube, they'll use some, and they'll throw the rest away. So there's a lot of wastage that goes into all of this. Whereas the sunscreen dispensers come in at a point where it's hot, you need sunscreen, you use it without any packaging, you put it on it, it's a value add for the event attendees. It's a great awareness tool for the brands coming in. So that's kind of like a win-win initiative that we did. Apart from that, we created these power banks which could be charged by solar power, where people, one of the motivations of people is that their phones are going to die. So they're going to run out of battery, they need power bank to shoot the event and everything. So we partnered with a brand to give free power banks for rent, of course, not for free, for rent, where you get free power. So these are the kind of brand integrations also that we are doing and partnerships that we're doing.
That's really cool. I didn't know about this minimalist 6-footer. I have to check out the image of this. But you would have eliminated a lot of sachets and small tubes.
Exactly.
What's the number on that?
So we did approximately, if I tell you, we did approximately 12 liters of sunscreen was dispensed.
Wow.
And if you just do a basic math, a sunscreen tube, the bigger tube is anywhere between, it's 50 ml. That's the bigger tube. That's the average normal size tube. So we've eliminated anywhere between, I would say, 240 tubes. 240 tubes is something that we've already eliminated. Just by
this was the one that sort of prompted this entire conversation, because I had seen a couple of photos from the event, and then I was very intrigued how well this is marketed. Like the attraction and the entire sustainability angle towards GreenLit also. So that's what has prompted this entire conversation and why people are listening to this.
Nice.
How much does a sachet typically have ml wise? We're such an over-sachetized economy, but in India, it's so bad, man. So
That's
bad.
True. Sachet has 2 ml. It has just 2 ml.
2 ml?
So yeah. So if we calculate a sachet, that's approximately 2 ml into like 50 tubes into like 12. That's around 600 sachets. It's eliminated just by one event.
Wow. And what are some of the responses? So what's the human side of it? Right? Like typically people see something like this, they Is it joy? Is it surprise? Like, what's the feeling?
Yeah. So no. So usually it's joy. Like I think how Roma reacted. That's usually the kind of. But again, there is a range of audience. A lot of people don't understand, like why we're doing this and what's the point of it. Some people are kind of skeptical about it, but most of the audience is really receptive and very glad that these kind of initiatives are taken on ground. So overall, the audience response has been great. We got good love, and that's like good karma points as well. But yeah, that we built out for people and creating some impact. So it kind of makes our entire team happy when something on ground does well. And similarly, with the help of this, it's also helped us open events in areas where we were not present in. So we also did the same kind of a partnership with Minimalist at Rajasthan Royals. So Rajasthan Royals, there's an audience of 50,000 people coming to the stadium to watch the match, and at 3:30 p.m., right when the sun is there, people could use the free sunscreen for applying it before they sit on their seats. So aspects and avenues where we were not present earlier, like the IPL, the Mumbai Marathon, a lot of other events, have those industries have also started opening up.
Very, very cool. Though I think the most interesting thing for me about your model is you're really doing root behavior change. And I think that is like invaluable. That's the most difficult thing to do, but the most invaluable. Because actually, it's not the direct impact itself. It's not 1 6-footer bottle eliminated so many sachets. That's the direct link. It's actually the indirect. Someone who now did this action will be more likely to think about what more they can also do. And they take action 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that ripple effect is insane, right? Like, just that small intervention really creates curiosity. Hey, how much more can I do?
No, 100%. And I feel that's what your company's thesis is built on as well. Having those API integrations and reaching such a critical mass of people, and just the conversation it starts, right? Like that's the main thing. And if it reaches the right person, that one conversation reaches the right person who can.
They could influence an organization of 100,000 people.
Wow.
One person. Can be bottom up, top down. So we've had this thesis, which I think you're also very much doing, which is like behavior change takes the same 4 steps, same 4 steps in a loop. If you want to go to the gym, you have to be convinced it's obviously required. Number one, it's easily accessible, close to your home, and your shoes are put out. It's economically viable. You'll be able to afford it. And fun to do. If it's not fun to do, you won't stick with it. And it's the same for even this, right? Like, make it easily accessible, obviously required, economically viable, fun to do. 100%. Right? That loop. And you said, I think what you mentioned earlier is bang on. You can't penalize people into doing it. You can't shame people into doing it. No one's going to want to stick with it, right? Exactly. Like, you don't operate with stick, you operate with carrot.
True.
Right? So rewarding and creating those behavior change loops is really powerful. And I love that you've chosen events as a vehicle because people are having a good time there and right? More ready to experiment.
It's sort of a positive reinforcement for taking a greener decision because like you're connecting basically having fun along with taking a greener decision. So it's a very like what Anirudh was mentioning, the Pavlovian theory, it applies like really well here in general.
Yeah,
so definitely right. Yeah.
100%.
How do you counter or negate the whole greenwashing thing that comes up? Because it's natural. There are all these skeptics out there who just want to trash even any good initiative without having understood really like what it was done for, what was the impact. People just say, oh my God, if you're trying this, it's greenwashing. Right?
True.
So, how have you approached that? I would love to understand, are you doing it through better communication or showing impact or what is it?
Sure. So, I completely agree. Like, even so for us, the philosophy has been that, what is being done currently and what are we implementing right now? Is it better than what was done currently? Like, that's the only benchmark that we have because if we try to be perfect, these solutions don't go on ground. So for us is that, I cannot make that one perfect person happy. I have to make the 100,000 imperfect people happy. So that's our approach that we're taking it. And the way we are doing it, so there are certain irrefutable facts that, like, water refill stations, for example. Like, if the water refill stations are not there, that means there is plastic water bottles. There is no other alternative to it. So there is a visual difference that comes in the kind of events that we do. If we are not present and if we are not there, then you will see the amount of waste that goes on ground. You'll see the amount of waste that is generated in the first place. So there's a visual difference that you can see at the events that we're participating in. Again, with the organizers as well, we are able to show them the difference that's happening while, like, working with us rather than not working with us, for example. So I feel like that helps us. And of course, like, if you have certain consumers being very happy about it and that message reaches to the right people, it's invaluable, because then they've heard from, say, even 5 people that it's a great initiative. They will tend to stick with it. So those conversations which consumers then go ahead and are having within themselves, they post on social media, or, like, just have these conversations among themselves. It creates a world of a difference where we are able to show our impact. And of course, we do stuff like, just putting stuff that we're doing on ground on social media, and, like, just laying it there. So, and then the social media also, like, it does its magic, like, it reaches to the right people as well.
So, I mean, like this entire conversation, like sort of highlights the carbon neutral events part. And I think you're doing like measure and reduction like really greatly. And like we also have a similar tool. So I'd like Ani for to come in and sort of talk about the neutralization part of it, because we have like a very cool gamification part of that. So this would sort of like help everyone who are watching this understand like different parts of the entire decarbonization journey of an event as well.
Yeah, so ours actually comes in on just one part of, I think, what Purav does. Yours is decarbonization of an entire event across, even materials and wastage, and obviously carbon emissions one part of it. Clients, we help measure the carbon emissions of the event so that you can be informed of what emissions to cut, and only whatever the residual emissions are, what can't be cut, those we enable offsets on top of into high quality carbon projects, which means high integrity, high quality, more durable projects in India. And we gamify that experience with like this nice 5-10 second interaction. You can find a QR code anywhere around an event and then scan it, find out your per capita emissions for being there. Like you said, right, 500 tons for a typical event, 20-30 kilograms of per person's emissions. You should know that, and then be able to neutralize it. Like, choose a climate or carbon project to send Climes credits into, and then we finance that project. And in doing that, we actually end up moving a bunch of capital into carbon project development in India. So yeah, it's like similar in a way of your thinking, which is events also, we've realized a very good intervention point. Mass awareness, curiosity, a feeling of joy and fun, patriotism too, right? Like create climate impact and resilience in India. So yeah, I feel like we're very alike in that in that thinking. But of course, you guys are doing a lot more. You're really like reducing wastage, and you're reducing and cutting emissions. So yeah, I see like awesome ways we can collaborate going forward. And you mentioned corporates. I think like we love working with corporates. I think wherever we have an opportunity, we're definitely going to bring you in.
Yeah.
And weddings too.
Yeah.
True, 100%. So, what I see is also like this interactive nature, because as you mentioned, the second order effects of educating consumers about their carbon footprint and then getting them to offset. Because even if we put together all our solutions, and this is like, being very practical, if we put down, like, in a utopian world, we do every single thing that I've just said at one single event, and only be able to abate 20% of those carbon emissions with the current technology and and the resources available to me at this point. So the 80% of the carbon emissions of an event will always be out there, and it's a great way to then use carbon offsets, of course trackable and creditworthy carbon offsets, to use that and then offset the event's footprint, carbon footprint. So 100%, I think all solutions in this space are very much needed. I don't think that there is just one solution that's going to solve this for sure. And yeah, I think yours is also a great way of educating consumers, scalable way as well, without the operations, the logistics, and all of that which goes behind. And yeah, I think for sure I also see like different ways of collaboration.
There's actually no way to have a zero carbon existence. It's not
Yeah,
possible. Like, just
yeah,
by the act of breathing and living, we are going to have emissions. Right? You can do
yeah,
a better job to try and be as carbon efficient and water efficient and waste efficient, but there are always going to be emissions. And I think
true.
people forget that. And
Yeah,
that, like, we just need to accept. Now, on top of that, what can you do? Can you be informed and take some better decisions? I think that's the entire goal, right?
exactly.
And I really feel like the interventions you're doing in a fun way, fun, like driving curiosity to then take action way, they're going to compound. They're really, really going to compound. Because you really never know who's taking that back into their home,
For sure, for sure.
right? Or into their company, or into the government. Imagine if that happens. Like someone
Oh,
takes it back into the ministry that they're
I
sort of
100% like say for example like globally there have been so many mandates around zero waste events and so many policies which have shaped zero waste events as well to like in the US these reusable cup systems are a mandate at stadiums, and there they have a game every week like our largest event is US's smallest event for example, and they are getting like grants to set up the infrastructure for washing and everything. So I think if you just take it till that level, then of course, like sky's the limit about the kind of impact that you can create just in this space. And once it happens in this space, we feel that this is the lower hanging fruit. If you solve for this, it opens up a world of possibilities in the open world out there as well.
where will this take you beyond? Like, what is that world of possibilities you see
Yeah.
unfolding beyond this?
No, so the same, if we just take the same system and replicate it across everyday living, like right from, say, when you're measuring your carbon and then using sustainable choices to drive your behavior, having policies around it, having, as you mentioned about the score, but just in, say, for example, like, how you can abate that, what kind of stuff can be done. It's insane the kind of impact that can be created. Of course, in our like utopian world, you have a complete reusable stream of packaging, and then you have only electric vehicles, and then you have only solar powered everything. So yeah, so I think the possibilities are endless, but it needs to be done at some place where it's like immediately possible without having a lot of other factors coming into play.
Like just to give an example, Paris banned vehicles for like 2 weeks, and the air got like 75% better from April, I think like first week to April 16, like from April 4th or 5th to 17. Like it was like complete change. Like they had all that Delhi pollution issue, the visibility issue as well. Everything gone just by implementing 2 weeks of no what do you call vehicles on the street zone. It's crazy, like what small change can do, like bring positive impact in our lives.
Sure.
Is there anyone, like, that's a really cool example of Paris doing it for air pollution? Is there any one society, small, medium, large size, that you think has really made strides and is consistently doing this in a way where like they are getting closer to this utopian living on energy, waste, water, air pollution?
Yeah, I feel like of course, like Netherlands is the like the kind of policies as well. Like they've mandated reusable packaging in dine-in. You have like cycles is the primary mode of transportation. The festivals are all completely zero waste. Like whatever we're talking about right now and the potential, there are case studies out there which is being done at scale. Apart from that, like just the kind of companies that are being built out there, we kind of look up to those companies as well. But yeah, so I feel like that's one society which is doing it really well.
And anywhere in India?
So I came across like a video where there's a colony in Delhi. I'm not sure about the name. Like I'm going to mispronounce it, like Sanjeevani Colony or some colony, which is a fully zero waste colony where they compost everything. They're recycling each and every single piece. They are solar power. They're doing like they're doing every single thing that is possible buy, and like the AQI, like outside the colony is, we all know what the AQI is. When you come inside the colony, just in that space, they are in the range of 35 to 40 AQI. So that's the
The
kind of
whole
difference.
colony.
Yeah.
What?
So that's it. Like it's an
That's
insane
insane.
example. They made multiple videos around it. Maybe I'm mispronouncing the name. I'm not sure, but like I'm very sure about the colony.
That's amazing. So I think the challenge is now how to turn these microcosms of festivals, which
Yeah.
are, I would say, like almost like educational camps now, right? You have a good time and education for sustainability, and then go out into the world and take it into wherever you come from,
True.
right?
True.
So we need to send more people to festivals, and from festivals back out into the world.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah.
So that's our modern day education now.
That's true. That's true. So, like, say for example, what we are doing is that, of course, we are starting as niche as possible. Because if you want to like create like any substantial impact in any kind of a space or industry, you really need to focus on that. So we are focusing on the bigger life events.
Yeah.
Then we are going into smaller events, sport events, exhibitions, cinema, shoots. So we've done like shoots with Amazon Prime. We've done with Sony Entertainment, where we replace their diesel generator with a battery energy storage system, and that again is a huge change, because just one diesel generator was emitting anywhere between 837 kgs of carbon emissions per day, with the amount of diesel which was being just burnt. So we were able to replace that with our battery energy storage system. So again, the possibilities are just endless in this space, and we are like just looking forward to doing more, just going deeper into the already existing events that we are doing, and going wider with the kind of events, exhibitions. And we're not just thinking about this from an Indian context, we also want to take it global. So we worked with a couple of events in Dubai. We worked with the ILT20, which is like Dubai's IPL. We worked with them, and there is a full team which is based on just sustainability there. So yeah, there's like a lot of stuff that's happening globally as
That's
well.
going
So,
on. That's going
yeah.
on. But you said like pivots along the way. I think 3-4 are the right
Minimum.
capacity. Minimum. I've yet to come across one company, including that has not had 3-4 along the way.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Rite of passage. But really, really cool work. I think you guys are doing like huge public service to a degree. I mean, you're doing it obviously for your own benefit, for society's benefit, but I think mass level behavior change is the need of the hour. And yeah, we're really rooting for you. And whenever we can partner with you, we are going to.
Sure, 100%. 100%. We're going to take this offline for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for being with us today, Purav, on this, and Roma, you too.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you,
Great.
Purav, for sharing your insights also.
Yeah, we hope the voice of Gen Z is heard.
Excellent.